Hi everybody, so today I want to show you how to field strip a Ruger 1022. The only thing you're going to need for this should be a flathead screwdriver, possibly a punch, but in most cases you won't need that. So first things first, as always, we're going to perform a safety check on the weapon. You guys want to make sure there's no magazine. Expect that you do not have a round in the chamber, nothing in the mag well, so we're good to go. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the screw on the barrel band. Now I don't need to take it out all the way. I'm just going to loosen this enough where I can slide the barrel band off over the muzzle. So, a couple turns on this. Again, just getting it loose. Slide that right off. Set that to the side. Next thing I'm going to need to do is unscrew this takedown screw right here. It doesn't need to come out all the way. Just enough to disengage from the receiver. So once I've got that out just a little bit, you'll feel it come loose. And you can see it's actually going to catch in the stock. There's another set of threads on the stock. If I wanted to screw it out further, I could totally remove this, but for what we're doing, we'll just let that stay there so we don't lose it. Now, to take this off properly, hopefully you guys can see this, I'm going to need to make sure my safety is in the middle position. This can be the toughest part right here, just getting that to stay in that middle position. So that's working pretty well. From here, stock should slide right off. If you don't get that safety in the right spot, you run the chance of marring up your stock, especially if you've got one of those wood ones. Now we're going to get in a little bit closer and I'm going to show you guys how to disassemble the trigger assembly or remove the trigger assembly, as well as take out the bolt and the guide rod. Alright, now for the receiver itself, you'll see there's 3 pins in here we've got to remove. We've got to take out this bolt stop pin as well as the 2 receiver pins. Doesn't matter what order you take them out in, as long as they all come out. Now, when you're pushing these out, you want to push them out towards the ejection port. So I'm pushing them to the right-hand side of the weapon where the brass flies out. That's the way these are made to be pushed. So most of the time, you won't need a punch. Sometimes, if it's brand new, if it's stiff for whatever reason, maybe you've never taken it apart, you may need to bust out a punch. But I can just push it out with this little thing right here. I'm going to take out my 2 receiver pins. Just push those out. 1 and, if I get that lined up, 2. Pull those out. We'll set them off to the side for now. Once those are out, my trigger assembly should just slide right out. Again, we'll set that off to the side. Next is going to be the bolt stop. This should be real easy to come out. Now, when you're taking it apart, be aware, sometimes this bolt stop is just going to slide right out on you now. For whatever reason, this is being a little stiff, but there we go. This one, it doesn't really matter which side you take it out of, at least on mine, because the thing is so loose on both sides. Normally, it just falls right out. I may have to clean this thing, maybe a little bit of grit or grease in there that it got caught up on. So, now to take off the bolt, what I'll need to do, this can be the tricky part. What I'm going to need to do is pull back on this charging handle once we got that stop out, and then I'm going to need to lift the bolt straight out. Now, you can't get your finger back in here to lift the thing out, so it's going to bind a lot of the times. What I found is once I get it started just a little bit, just to twist the thing over, have something soft for it to drop onto, and you should be good to go. So we're going to pull back on the charging handle. All right, hold that in there. Just kind of get this started a little bit, and then just twist the whole thing over. Give it a little wiggle, and it should, oops, well that worked, should just pop right out. Hopefully I did that in camera. If not, I'll have to go back and do this whole thing over again. So we'll lay this down for now. Set the bolt over here. Got the charging handle and the bolt. Now with the bolt, the way this charging handle rides in here is this little groove is going to meet up right in there on the bolt. So when you go to reassemble, that's the part you're going to be trying to line up right there. So at this point, we've got the bolt assembly apart. We've got the guide rod off. That's it. You can do all your cleaning just like this. So to reassemble the weapon, I'm just going to, as always, reverse those steps. Reinsert the charging handle. You'll see right in here in the end of the receiver, there's a little raised piece of metal. That's where your charging handle is going to rest. So that's going to meet up right there. Again, this can be a little bit tricky. I'm going to go to the other side here, make it a little bit easier on myself. I've got to pull back on this charging handle and be careful. This thing's not really held in here by much until the bolt gets in, so this thing's going to wobble all over the place and go flying across the room if you're not careful. You're going to need to pull back the charging handle all the way. And I'll put a little bit, when I'm doing this, I push it in. Okay, I put a little bit of pressure in. That way, again, it's not popping out on me. That's the bolt. You need to drop it straight in. Alright, now I got to get the charging handle lined up. And there we go. Alright. Looks like that'll work just fine. Next, I like to reinsert the trigger assembly before I do the bolt stop. Again, it doesn't matter which order you put these in. One thing to mention right here, that needs to be resting inside the groove. See that right there? Oops. That needs to be sitting in there, otherwise it's not going to work for you. So, slide the trigger assembly back in. Again, these go in and out from the ejection port side. So I'm going to push them in from this side right here. See how easy that is. Again, other side. Kind of fumbling around because I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. And then my bolt stop pin. Again, ejection port side. And you should be good. All right, get that pushed up in there. That's holding a little bit better than it used to. Excellent. All right, from there we just got to install the stock. All right, so now that we've got that back together, reinserting the whole thing back onto the stock should be a piece of cake. I'm going to, again, have to make sure my safety selector is in the middle position. All right, so far so good. From here, I'm just going to slide the stock back over the weapon. Make sure everything's lined up. Make sure that safety where it needs to be. And we're good. Reinstall my takedown screw. I like to just get it started behind so I know I'm not cross-threading the thing. Now don't over-tighten this when you do go to reassemble it. This would be a very bad screw to over-tighten. Strip that out. It'd be in a whole world of problems. You have to re-tap that thing and everything. Next, the barrel band slides on. I'm actually going to flip it because I prefer to have mine on the right-hand side. Again, don't over-tighten this. Some people don't even use the barrel band. It can affect accuracy, but you need to be a good shot for that to matter, so that excludes me. And that should be it. As always, you want to perform a function check, charge the weapon, pull the trigger, make sure the safety's off, pull the trigger, and we're good. Now, one thing to mention here, Ruger 1022, it is a rimfire rifle, so there is some debate whether or not it is okay to dry fire this. The 1022 itself should be fine. Most rimfires you do not want to dry fire. Now, if you are squeamish about dry firing this, there is a way to get past that if you do want to store it with the hammer down for whatever reason. When you're pulling back on the charging handle, I'll do it with this side so you can see. Once you feel a little bit of extra resistance, you guys can kind of see right there where it hits. Okay, I'm going to pull it just a little bit past that. And then I'm going to hold the trigger down. As I release, that's going to let the hammer drop, and I won't have to worry about dry firing the thing. Again, with the 1022, it's not a big deal. You got to realize this bolt doesn't even lock back after the 10th round. So most of the time, the way you're going to know that you're out is when you hear that thing dry fire. So it's kind of set up for that. I wouldn't say set up, but it is okay on the 1022. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.